Why are we doing this?
Well, it's for the Abigail Thorn video.
No,
Well, no,
no, I know, but this isn't. I mean, I've shot in this room before. I've never done this angle. I don't dress like this for these videos.
Yeah, but it's more in the spirit of like what she does. So.
It's never gonna look like I'm actually matching her though. It's not even gonna look like a cheap imitation.
Well, like
This is a stupid idea.
Well, look, we could just reset and go again.
I mean, the whole thing's probably a stupid idea, but like this in particular, this is stop, turn it off. Okay, I feel a little bit more relaxed now. I'm not taking the makeup off. I look cute. So, I have made a decision. I am going to watch Abigail Thorn's play, The Prince. The fact that it was a decision that took me so long to make, though, I feel like that's something I kind of have to talk through before anything else. Because I am a fan of Abigail Thorn. I should probably explain who she is. She has 20 times my audience. But sure, why not? Abigail Thorn is a YouTuber, a podcaster, a professional actress, and now also a playwright. She runs the YouTube channel PhilosophyTube. She's quite well known, and I've enjoyed and admired her work for, I guess, about 4 years now. I very much enjoy what she does, and it's actually probably worth pausing that thought before I get any further to explain a little bit about my YouTube media diet, because I do watch a fair amount of YouTube. The thing is, though, I don't watch that many people whose presentation and content is especially similar to mine. There's... discomfort's not the word, but there's an oddness when I see someone doing something that is effectively the same thing that I do. And I can get one of a few things about it. I can get judgmental about it if I find myself thinking, I could do that better. I could end up with a sense of professional jealousy if it's someone doing something very similar to me who appears to be far more successful with it. And that can be doubly so if I think that there's some significant problems with their work. This is part of why I don't watch a lot of Who-tubers. I talk about Doctor Who more than anything else. I don't watch that much content from other people who talk about Doctor Who. I watch some. I'm subscribed to a number. I would consider myself friends with a few of them even, but I don't watch a lot of it because I can't detach what I do from what they do, and it hampers the experience, if only because even if I'm not being judgmental or jealous of what I'm seeing, there's a part of my brain that's going, okay, but if I was tackling this topic, how would I do it? This is actually a little bit of a larger scope problem, I think, with lots of people in creative fields. You know, it's been an issue for me when I've gone to plays, and whether it be professionally put on or community theater, I had a go at acting. And I can get a little bit judgmental if I feel that the play, whether it be the staging, the performances, or even the play itself, because I have written plays also, I can get very judgmental about it, especially given that my own attempts at that stalled out. Now, is that fair to the work I'm watching? No, that's a general rule, probably not, but I can't completely turn off that part of my brain. And so when I watch YouTube, the content that I tend to appreciate the most is either stuff that is talking about subjects that I would never cover, or it's giving a form of presentation that I would never do. Either I never would have the means and the ambition to try and do, or it would never occur to me to do. So that's where I end up watching. Well, when it comes to Who-tube, the one I watch most reliably is Stu Bagfull, whose work is exceptionally sarcastic and occasionally kind of dark, and uses these little stick figures for a fair bit of it. And I do consider Stu to be a friend. And I never, ever present my feelings on Doctor Who the way he does. And it makes it easier for me to watch what he does. But then there are also, of course, people who just, everything about what they do is unlike what I do. I'm a huge fan of Yahtzee Croshaw of Zero Punctuation. I would never occur to me, nor would I ever have the ability to do what he does. So it makes it incredibly digestible. But even people who have a certain amount of crossover with what I do, be it in format or topic, if it is done at such a level that I'm like, even if I tried to do it, it would never be that good. That can actually kind of quiet my brain a little bit. That's kind of the basis under which I watch most of my friend Jessie Gender's stuff, because she goes in at a depth and a editing ability and a presentation that I can't do that. Like I don't have the time or the spoons in my life, and even if I did, I don't think I could do it that well. So I can ease off that. And I enjoy Abigail's work on YouTube on the same basis. She goes in very deep on philosophical topics in a way that even if I understood the philosophy all that well, I wouldn't think to present it that way. So that kind of is the best of both worlds in terms of me being able to enjoy something. It's both a subject that I wouldn't tackle on my own and present it in a way that I would never think to or be able to match. That doesn't mean that I watch her stuff immediately when it comes out. It tends to be very thinky, and I sometimes need to be in the right headspace to be prepared to digest whatever it is I'm going to be taking in. She's not the only one that I feel that way about. There's a number of really good video essayists that I tend to sit on their stuff for a few days or weeks or months even, because I'm like, I got to be in the right headspace if I'm going to try and take this in. But that's been my relationship with her work up to this point. So why have I been hesitant to watch The Prince? Well, I think there's a couple of things at play there, and I want to talk them through. The first is that, well, as I mentioned before, I'm also a playwright. I've written a play. It hasn't been staged, so far as I'm aware. I suppose that's theoretically possible. It's available for purchase on Amazon. Somebody could have bought it and staged it, but if anyone has, I don't know, and I seriously doubt it. Part of the reason I just published it was because I was not able, even with ties to theater organizations around where I live, I was not able to get it staged. And just broadly speaking, nobody came back and said it's not good enough. It was an issue of this content isn't going to play right for our audience. We don't know if we could find a director or actors who would be comfortable with it or something like that. Because it's, an exploration of BDSM in 2 acts it's literally the subtitle. So, I get it. But the thing is that for as different as her work is from what I do in terms of her YouTube output, there's more than a little similarity between Abigail and myself. I didn't mention the fact up to now that Abigail is a trans woman because honestly, it wasn't especially relevant until I got to the point of talking about our similarities. Because we both, after having some degree of having established a brand and identity on YouTube, came out as trans feminine, a trans woman in her case, a trans femme gender fluid in mine. We both have gone at acting. We both create stuff on YouTube, obviously. We both have now written a play. And the thing is, she's had more success than me in every single one of these things. And has done so being not a significant number of years younger than I am. And so that question of professional jealousy comes up again. But I don't know why it's here now. And maybe it isn't even. Because part of me just wonders, am I just worried that people will read it that way? Because if I watch this play and I don't like it, will it be interpreted as me being professionally jealous? Because she's now entered into one more area that I tried to do, playwriting, and has seen success in it that I have not and probably never will. But I haven't been jealous of her success up to this point. At least I don't think so. But I am still worried about that being thought of me if I don't like it. But then that brings the question, why am I afraid that I won't like it? I've liked, to varying degrees, pretty much all of her work that I've taken in, whether it be on YouTube or it be the podcast, Kill James Bond, that she's a part of. I've enjoyed her work fairly reliably. And when I have taken in works by other creators that is outside of what I primarily am used to digesting from them, I haven't been this kind of nervous. Stu Bagfull put out an anthology of podcasts that I listened to happily, and I wasn't worried about not liking them. Yahtzee Croshaw, I was going to say read his books. I've listened to his audiobooks of his novels, and I wasn't afraid I wasn't going to like them. I was just prepared to take them in. But I'm genuinely worried about not liking The Prince. And part of that is tied to wondering what people will think of me if I don't like it. But there's something other than that too. Because I wasn't really that nervous about it until she described the premise in one of her videos. And I'll let her use her own words to do so.
And I have written a play. It's called The Prince. It's about a bunch of characters in a Shakespeare play who start to realize that they're all stuck inside a play.
Once I heard that, I started to worry that I wasn't going to like it. Now, I want to be clear. That general premise, that sort of meta-narrative, is not inherently a problem. It's not even something that I have an inherent dislike of by any means. However, as someone who has been doing varying degrees of creative writing since, I'd say, middle school with reliability, and who since high school, since middle school, again, have been engaged in various playwriting workshops. I was involved in that in middle school, high school, into college. Honestly, if I had just been a friggin' theater major like I should have been, I might have actually finished college, but that's a whole other conversation. I have dealt a lot, not only with my own journey of trying to express myself through the medium of play, but I've been around a lot of other people doing the same thing, and as well as people doing short films. And the reason I bring up short films is because there tends to be a bit of overlap between what playwrights do early into their attempts at playwriting and what short filmmakers do. Not technically. From a technical sense, it's very different. But in terms of the narratives they tend to pick. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But a play about characters who realize that they're in a play, it's kind of a basic playwright 101 kind of plot. Like, everybody does this. I don't know a single person who has tried to pursue in some way playwriting or filmmaking or even sketches who hasn't done some version of this. This is what everybody does. And that's not even a problem. And it doesn't preclude it from being bad, but it just makes it such a basic premise in my mind. And not to mention the fact that it's the kind of premise that lends itself to pretentious wankery. Not always, but sometimes. There are things that do this. There are stories that do this. There's a play that does this that I like very much. It's called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and I love it. But I strongly suspect part of the reason I love it was because I discovered it when I was 13, and the concept blew my mind for the first freaking time. I think if I were to try and take in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, be it the play or the movie, now, maybe I'd still enjoy it, but not to the same extent because, yeah, it's your spin on this thing that literally every playwright gets excited about because they think they're the first person who freaking thought of it, and they're not. You can see the frustration bubble up. Because, look, The Prince may be brilliant. And it's worth emphasizing, as I record this, I haven't seen it yet. This is not typical for me. I'm giving you extensive rambling thoughts about me and my thought process and try to parse my own brain before I even see it. Because if I watch this thing, well, not if, when, I'm going to. When I watch this thing, if it turns out that all my fears just wash away, I don't know if I'll be able to still talk about them. I have to talk about them now, while they're fresh, while they're in my head and I'm feeling the feelings. Because I don't know if I'll be able to recall all this after the fact. And I need to talk through why I'm afraid to take in the prince. But coming back to that idea that it's kind of a basic premise, that does not preclude it from being good. One of my favorite things to do in any medium is to take in something that, knowing the basic setup of it, I think that's not going to work. I don't see how that can work. And then loving it. This past year, the Batman did that for me. I am so beyond sick of dark and gritty, brooding, brutal Batman. I was convinced that maybe I would come out going, it's a good movie. I still don't like it. I liked it a lot. And that was wonderful. There are a few things that I love more than going into something that I'm pretty dang sure I won't like and going, oh, hey, that was good. And I can hope for that, but I also have to acknowledge it's a minority opinion that I end up having, if that is what pans out. Because at this point, I'm pretty good at having a sense of whether or not I'm going to like something ahead of watching it. It's why, like, when I do things like a top 10 at the end of the year, I only talk about the best stuff. I don't do a worst list because I don't make myself watch stuff that I think I won't like. So when I do that list, I'll give a dishonorable mention to most disappointing, which was something I thought I would like and didn't, because that's kind of all that applies. It's very rare for me to watch something or take something in or read it or whatever that I think I probably won't like this. But every now and then, sometimes when I do, and sometimes out of a sense of obligation, like with the Batman, I get pleasantly surprised. But I'm still nervous to watch The Prince. I'm going to make an odd comparison here because another YouTuber, significantly larger than I am, who I like quite a bit, and should give you a taste of the odd range of my enjoyments, is TomSka, best known for the animated sketch series Astif Movie. Now, he also has a secondary channel called TomSka and Friends, and on that, there is a series he does with two of his friends called Tryhards, where they pick something to try and do, and they give a certain amount of time, then they come back and see how everybody did with it. And they did one last year that was short films. And after they were done, they put those online and had a little festival, local to where they were. And I watched Tom's. And it was probably the best produced, but it was a character realizing that they're fictional and eventually devolving into a case of, well, the creator of this, the writer has writer's block, and the reason this doesn't make sense is because the writer doesn't know where he's going, can't figure out what he's doing, and it ends with the lead character killing the author. That wouldn't bother me so much if not for the fact that Tom is on record as loathing student films, like pretentious student films.
And it has instilled such a lifelong hatred of student films and student film tropes. I never got over it though. I'm still upset. I'm still bitter.
And I'm watching this going, Tom, if I were to try and think generically, what is the most student film premise I could think of? It's literally what you just did. For all the years that I've taken in, various, festivals of plays, workshops of plays, other stuff, I have read and seen and heard so many people do this. I've done it. I wrote this friggin' thing, and I did it 15 years ago, but it was frustrating. Now, I didn't have a lot of investment in that frustration. Tom was just like, oh, Tom, come on. And I moved on. But something worries me about having that frustration towards Abigail. So why am I afraid to watch The Prince? There is an odd thing that I came to realize in thinking about this and realizing I needed to talk it through, which is, it's not just that I want to enjoy Abigail's The Prince. I need to. I need it to be not only good, but great. But why? Why does that matter? Because it has nothing to do with my opinion of her. I don't know her. I mean, I know her work, been watching her for years, even supported her on Patreon for a little bit before I kind of stopped supporting anybody on Patreon because I can't really afford it anymore. But why would something that has nothing to do with me, and like, even if it's a premise that I don't like, I can't imagine it's going to lower my opinion of her. Why do I need this to be great? And it has nothing to do with her and everything to do with me and my sense of my own creative worth. And to a certain extent, yes, that is professional jealousy, but it's something a little different, something a little more twisted than that. I'm comfortable watching Abigail's work because, as I said before, it is done at such a high level. I don't need to compare myself to her. I can't do what she does. Not the conception of it, the writing of it, the performance of it, the production values of it. I mean, aside from the fact that flatly I can't afford to even try and do that, but even if I could, I don't think I could do that. But I've written a play that I am still very, very proud of, that nobody has seen and very few people have read. And so if I take in The Prince and I don't like it, and for the first time I find myself thinking, I could have done that better, then the critical eye turns in on myself. What am I doing wrong that I don't have that level of success, that I can't get my foot in the door? How am I holding myself back? What failures do I have that have stopped me from having that success when she can write and have produced and get to star in a play and it's pretentious wankery? And I have to self-publish my book, my novel, my play, beg for Patreon support because I barely cover my bills. If she's not better at this than I am, then why is she where she's at and I'm back here? None of that is fair. None of that is rational. And none of that has anything to do with her. Part of what gets me going and keeps me going day to day is a certain amount of trust that I'm going about what I do in the way that works best for me. And I am covering my bills, barely, but I am covering my bills. And that in itself is the privilege. That is enough. I need it to be enough because it's what I have. And I can't expect much more than that. I can hope for it, strive for it. But most of what I do has plateaued. Growth on this channel, the Patreon, so forth. This might be as far as I go. And part of what can make me more comfortable with that idea is that the people who have gone farther are better and more skilled.
Well, there's no shame in being beaten by the best.
But he didn't seem all that...
We were beaten by the best.
I don't just want that to be true, I need that to be true. Because if it's not, then my work, my growth, my support stagnating is my fault. That's also irrational. That's also not true. Because there's a ton of other factors. Abigail has footholds and contacts in the actual professional theater community. My contacts were in community theater and like one or two professional people who only kind of knew me. I don't have those points of contact. I don't have a lot of what she has. And despite the comparisons I made before, what we do is fundamentally very different. She does 40-minute, hour-long videos about deep philosophical concepts while doing all of this wonderful, sometimes bizarre, well-performed presentation. I sit in front of a wall of toys and talk about Doctor Who. What are you doing? That you compare yourself to her is what I want to do. I want to shake myself and yell that. But I do it anyway. And it didn't matter until The Prince, because I look at what she does and I look at what I do and I go, it's not the same thing. It's fine. And so I am and have been scared to watch The Prince. But I need to get over it. And that means stopping this video, signing up for Nebula, who is not sponsoring this, to be clear, and seeing the professional record. So that's what I'm going to do. I've talked through my weird, irrational, emotional, self-critical reasons for being conflicted about this. I've done that now. Which means it's time just to watch it. Be back in a bit. It's not there. It's not on the service yet. Because of how long she's been talking about this and knowing that the play has been staged and like it's got nominated for stuff, I assumed that the professional record had already happened and was on Nebula, but it's not there yet. They're still editing it. I don't even know when it's going to go up. This right now is just Q1. I can't even watch it yet. All that to build up, and I can't even see it yet. I'll probably get around to it when it comes out, and like, how much you want to bet I just sum it up as like a community post or a tweet? I, 'cause, 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 ' even is this? What did I make? What did I produce? Oh my God. If you're still here, why? But I don't even know. At the end of my videos, I say, what are your thoughts on what I've talked about? I don't even know what I've talked about. I don't know what this was. But I'll tell you what. It's not something Abigail would have produced. Whatever thoughts on whatever this was that you want to share, drop something down in the comments. Let's figure out what the hell I did. Look, all the usual stuff. You know the plugs. You've been on YouTube. There's links below for whatever, stuff. Just try and remember. Because I need to try and remember sometimes that regardless of whatever self-critical nonsense voice has given you such blinders that you don't even bother to check if something's available for you to see yet. Regardless of any of that, you are beautiful. You are valid. And you are loved. You are the council. I was going to say I'm just running the meetings. I'm just doing nonsense at this point. I don't even know what I'm doing. But until next time, this council is adjourned. Oh, well, it's Patreon supporter shout out time, folks. So thank you to Robin Moore, Zubin Lafula, Tarak, the thing that goes doink in the anime, Oliver B., Angus Bjarnason, Linda Walters, Emu Delkey, Leotha Boyd, Toy Lowly, Becky Spark, Fernabilax the Poodle, Zach, Tracy Scrabbit, General Contact Unit Problem Child, Angry Casperl, Tim Price, Adam RDL Taylor, Shayla Gourlay, and Brendan LaRose. Thanks so much for your help. You can get your name read out too. Check out the rewards in the Patreon. Is that what they should do? Should they check the Patreon?